So, you see, I'm in this relaxed state, right? I needed to come back on and have a little chat. I don't know if it's just now. I don't know if this is the way that things have always been. I don't know anything about these things, man. Like, but I do know that stuff is getting a little out of control. Like, let's talk about money, man. So, I made another video before this, and I really wanted to do something different. Like in it, I go over like what my original plan was, and that didn't work out too hot, and that's cool. So then I went to like this alternative, and I felt like that was gonna be cool. But, and by the way, this is wine time with Jacqueline. It's like, I just needed one of those names. But we're going to sit down and we're going to have some wine together right now, because I just need to talk about some things with you, and just let me know, like, if I'm, you know what I'm saying, sounding like a hater, because I feel like I've been on this like hating tip lately about a lot of things, and I just need to let it go. But I need to talk about this first. So, I've been watching this show. Do I even want to mention what it is? I'll mention the title of the show. And it's called Most Expensivest. And that's all cool, because honestly, it's just an illustration. It has been an illustration. It is a current illustration of like pretty much cats that just have too much dough. And I don't even know if it is like to be categorized as having too much dough, because they don't really have all the dough that there is. I'm sure that there are, ones that have way more dough, way exponentially more dough. Yeah. So I'm not like jocking them. I'm not like, ooh, even though I think it is an admiral thing. Do I admire that? Is it admirable? Basically, it's something that I'm not gonna be like, that's some bullshit, or you don't deserve that. I'm not gonna hate on it. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say that I like admire it, because when I look at the industries that are associated, no, not even the industries. When I look at some of these cats that are making these guest appearances on this particular show, any video that's like it, any show that's like it, any show that wants to be like it, I tend to see a whole bunch of cats that I would never, ever, ever want to hang around. Like, ever. So, I see cats that maybe they're putting on a show for TV, I don't know what, but it's not even worth the time to talk about. But what I'm saying is that it's not like I'm looking at them with like the stink eye, But I will say that I think that there's a whole lot of money, and I've had the notion of like, what else is there to do? You see these cats that are in these positions of extreme wealth, and it's like you can kind of see where it gets to a point where there's nothing else to do. Like in this episode, it's from a couple years ago, talking about remade glasses of fucking MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice and Run DMC. Probably some like $20 joints that they're trying to like do whatever to, and now it's up to like $50K. And I'm like, okay, fine. And you see these cats like flossing in their shades. And it's not to say the shades aren't fresh, but when you're sitting with like a car on your face, first of all, there's only so many places you can go and not like, you know what I'm saying? And second, when you're in these places, it almost looks bizarre unless you just don't give a fuck about what you're having on. And don't get me wrong, you know, I can appreciate a finely crafted piece of jewelry. I really can. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see it and I can appreciate it, and I think it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like buying the cars and the watches and everything. Like, that's cool. That's like not even, sometimes when I'm talking about something, it sounds like I'm talking about one thing, but it's really that I'm talking about like the essence of like something completely different. And what I'm talking about here is that these dudes or these people, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything is just, you get to a point where it's like, how much further are you going to go? You know what I'm saying? Like, with implants and, you know, Brazilian butt lifts. You see butts now getting out of control. Where do you go from there? You see the weaves at like 60 inches. I'm talking about like calf length. Where do you go from there? You know what I'm saying? Like floor length, $6,000 on some weave, and it's like the longest weave that you can get. Like, how many chains can you fit on your neck? How many different things can you buy before? Like, I understand the whole toys situation. I like my toys, and sometimes, you know, the game is played. Like, what would you buy? And I honestly can't think of too much. Like, I think like maybe fucking around with the stock market might be fine. Like, not really wanting a return, but looking at it like I'm just playing around. That would be kind of cool. You know, not wanting to make anything, but just like, that's my play time. Maybe that'd be cool. Okay, I own a nation. What do you do when you say you own a country? And I think about like the politicians. I think about kings and queens and emperors. You know, and it's kind of like, I don't see some of these cats feeling these things. It's like going for more seems to be like the name of the game. And honestly, that looks cool and everything. Because like I said, I can appreciate all that stuff. I can appreciate some of everything, honestly. Like, I can go to the hood and love a 40 ounce. For sure. I love a 40 ounce right now. I don't think that will ever subside in me, my love for the 40 ounce. I love the little hood side of me. You know, I love that I cuss a little bit. I love that, you know, whatever. But there's also that bourgeois side of me. You know, like, I have, you know, I like a good Persian rug. I like really, really good food. I like really good ingredients the best that I can find. Now, like an $80,000 truffle, I really haven't experimented with that. But maybe I would grow to like something like that. You know, I can see it. I get it. But what I'm saying is like, after a certain point, it's like, what I'm seeing is that it's like an illustration of there being way more to life. Like, seeing what's going on. Like, I know that it is a certain degree of, like, mind pollution. Like, I know that I really have to protect my atmosphere from getting too interfered with by watching nonsense. I watched this video earlier, but it was like nothing but an illustration of just trying to be everything at once. Like, there's just nothing left to do. Like, what are people gonna do next? To work on the moon? Is that gonna be the next goal? Like, shoot a porn in the next hip-hop video? I mean, what happens when the cameras aren't rolling, I can only imagine, for sure. You know what I'm saying? But what's next? Like I said, like, what's next? 80 inches of hair? What's next? Like 1 inch long eyelashes that are imported from the ball sack of some llama somewhere? The llama of a prince? You know what I'm saying? You're gonna go over to Saudi Arabia and knock on some bitch ass family over there and say, hey, give me the fur off of your llama's nutsack so I can glue this shit on my face. And yeah, I just got political, but I really don't care. I have qualms, not qualms, but I'll just leave it at that, because this is not a political video. This is wine avec Jacqueline, right? So we're not gonna get too political. But I will say, and maybe there aren't even like llamas in the Middle East. I don't know. I don't give a fuck. But what I'm saying is, like, how far can things go? And what I'm seeing is that there's only so far that they can go. And so from there, does it become about power? Because, okay, I'm going to get a little political. All the politicians are lying. Like, they've been lying. There's way more lies than probably most can ever imagine. So the power that you see really isn't real. So what are they doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, and so from there, let's just, let's make a big old, like, U-turn. Like, this is my wheel of the truck. Like, I'm just pulling that bitch over, like making a sharp right. What's over here? What else can we do? And from there, you just have to value some shit. And I found that I've been getting bored with what I'm doing. I'm seeing a lot of it as being work. Even my, like, extracurricular activities are not working out. And what I'm seeing is that I need to kind of train my mind not to feel like I'm doing work, to find more joy in my work, even in my research. Like, I just spent like hours trying to get this video that I shot before up. And it's like a simple little addition, but I thought it'd be like a cool one and a meaningful one. And so then I had to spend this time, during my free time, because it wasn't for like class, even though the end result is really important to me. And what I mean by spending my free time is like an hour and a half on hold with tech support from Adobe, because really the people can't understand what I'm saying. And no offense to people who may not speak English as a first language, but what I'm saying is, for tech support, sometimes it doesn't work out. Like, even with me knowing as much French as I do, which is relatively limited, you will never see me in a French-speaking country doing tech support. They would be like, what the fuck? How did you get hired? I'd be like, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like, that's like me going down to like Egypt or South America. Like, I don't even know. Just name a place that has a really difficult language, and imagine me like sitting there pecking on tech support, like spelling hello wrong, and they're talking about processor speeds and all this kind of technical stuff, you know. Just imagine that. So that's what I'm talking about. It's not like, oh, you need to do this better. I'm talking about straight up typing something and then someone like telling you exactly what you typed as if they're giving you some sort of answer. And then, you know, they're working with like multiple screens. I'm kind of going off on a rant here, but they're going on like multiple screens, you can tell. And you know, they have to meet their quota, so I don't blame them like at all. I'm sure that the superiors are keeping track, and you gotta do so many calls in a certain time. You know, you can't just be chilling like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, welcome to tech support. You know, you're just waiting. No, I'm sure that they're filling up screens like across the monitors, you know. So I get it, but then you're waiting for like that situation on top of wrestling with somebody who's telling you about, you know, your problem in a way that's not even right. So, but I had to find joy in that, because I really did enjoy the pursuit of trying to figure out how to solve my problem, even though it wasn't school related. You know, I like that kind of thing, but what I did experience was a kind of frustration, you know, because you know, and just to kind of add in like why, like I got pissed off because the, I guess, stock software that comes with my operating system for movie editing used to have a feature that they don't have anymore. And then the way that you are able to have that feature is by downloading another piece of software from Microsoft, because I'm running Windows. But then when you go and run that software, they want you to buy some shit. And I got frustrated. I got frustrated because I experienced the same frustration, because with Skype, it's kind of the same thing. For conferences or recording a call or whatever, you have to go up to Skype Business, and guess what? They're charging for that shit too. And I even have a student account in which I have access to Skype in a different way than just the free version. But it's not even available on that, and it becomes like a thing of principle. You know what I'm saying? You're taking away the best features and sneakily putting them into something called Pro or Premium just so people can pay some more shit. And I'm just over it. Just like the other day, like I've been using like an open office kind of software. And that's what I use in place of Microsoft Word, even though with my student account I have access to the newest version. But fuck that. Didn't want to use it. I'm tired of using Microsoft shit. And that's what it all boils down to, is that I'm getting back to the whole searching for the answer thing with the video. But what it comes down to is that we're all getting pressed into this corner. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of is related to the same thing as these 50K glasses. How much money do you want to make, Bill Gates? How much fucking money do you want to make? You know what I'm saying? You're buying out everybody. You're taking away stuff just so you can just, milk the cow some more? We all know what you're up to, so that's cool. Like, but I'm kind of over it, and I'm kind of over it being like the social norm. Like, oh, you know, across the board, everybody's got to use this kind of software. And I get it, because it makes business easier. It makes everything easier, you know? But I'm tired of getting worked by these systems, to tell you the absolute truth. So then you go back to me in this movie situation, right? So they want me to buy this whole thing. And then you go over to what I have a subscription to, which is Adobe CC, and my system can't run 64-bit software. So the video editing software that I have access to, I can't use. So that's cool. But then when I'm speaking to customer service reps, they're telling me a whole bunch of shit I already know. And I'm like, dude, I just wrote that, but I try to be cool. And I think I've reached a little milestone because, you know, I didn't say things in a way like, man, I just said that shit. No, I tried to say it like in a sneaky, cool way. Like, oh, maybe you missed the part of the conversation where I just wrote that. Did you see the last message a couple messages ago? Because part of me is like, they have to have seen that. And the other part is like, if you didn't, you know, reading skills in this department may not be up to par. So, and then I got to the conclusion of they just may not speak English that well. Because this is 24-hour tech support. So these cats aren't in my time zone. You know, they're somewhere else in the world, and I'm used to that, and that's cool. I'm all about some people having some jobs and stuff, and working for a cool company and all that kind of stuff. I get it. But I've had plenty of experiences, and this is part of Jacqueline's tea time over here. I've had plenty of experiences where cats in these call centers in places in the world that English isn't a first language have no idea what the fuck you are talking about. I'm telling you, you can tell them some shit and they will come back with something that's not even remotely related. And this is when you're like pissed off. You know, something's going wrong. You know, something's fucking up. And you're calling them and they're like, oh, so you wanted to find this? And it's like, what? And you have to like pump your brakes. You know what I'm saying? Like from like snapping on somebody, because some of them are really nice people and they come off that way, but they just don't understand what you're saying. I had that experience with AT&T, to tell you the truth. Like I'm telling you, like, unless they change something quick, don't even bother calling their tech support or customer service or anything. Like, it's going to be a long ordeal, like, and everything. Just don't. Whoa. But, so same thing tonight. So you rewind all of that, and that's kind of where I'm coming from. You know, it's like, had to find some joy, and that's what led me to looking at stupid stuff on YouTube. I like watching stupid stuff, like stupid expensive stuff. I just like it. It gives me an awareness of what people are choosing to participate with, because it's still shocking to me. I don't know why I can't get these things through my mind. You know what I'm saying? But I am learning that disconnection is the way, you know, like I just can't anymore with any of it. Just got to stay isolated in this little world right here and just be cool. Because once you start going out there, man, shit gets a little furry, gets a little wild, you know, and lowered expectations, man. I think I've been giving people too much credit for these high IQs. I'm expecting a certain intelligence quota here, but it's not quite working out. And it leads me to being frustration. Like, I thought you knew that. Not like I thought you knew that, like, oh wow, you know, we just discovered something new. That's different. I thought you knew that you were getting whatever by this situation, you know, and I'm in that too. You know what I'm saying? I get that. Like, I get it. Like, I get it. But this is about this staying in the rut. And maybe this is me. And these things, me talking like this, helps me learn. Because I'm not above any of this. Even though I get frustrated like a motherfucker on it. But, you know, maybe I'm too hung up on money. You know? I have this thing where I have to make a lot of money. And I also have this thing where I kind of dislike money. So it's it's becoming, it's created a little bit of a dichotomy in me. You know, like part of me is like, and the other part of me is like, fuck that, you know, shit is worthless. But it's not. You know what I'm saying? What I'm seeing is that the end result, I'm over here nursing. What I'm seeing is that the end result is finding that joy in things. Like every little stroke that I make with whatever instrument that I'm using, whether it be, you know, a pencil or a tattoo machine. Because my joy is in art. My joy is in art and communication and observation and nature and thinking. I cannot get emotionally involved with the nonsense anymore, though. That is a definite key point in today's lesson. Because sometimes I get emotionally involved. Like, people think that looks good. Like, what is that? That's some craziness. And I'm watching celebrities, but what I watched were things from other parts of the world. And cats are in the street copying what they're seeing. And I'm like, whoa, you know? And that's like their thing. And my mind is fried, man. Mind is fried. It's like they see that as like a cool thing, you know? Like I want to be like that. And I'm over here like, dude, that is like straight nonsense. I don't know, man. And then you see like, don't even go down to the city. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't even go down the street, man. Like, wow. Like that's what happens in my mind, man. Like, I don't know when I'm gonna get to a point where I'm just like, man, that's some craziness. Like, oh well, you know, that's what people do. I have these like super high expectations of cats just to catch on one day, and one day I turn on the tube and everything is just beautiful and smart and educated and talented and honest and real. I'm not saying that I'm all those things, but I do prefer that in life. I prefer pure talent. I prefer pure beauty. I prefer things to be somewhat natural. Like tweaking things here and there, that's cool. And don't get me twisted like on my past rants about plastic surgery. My issue with plastic surgery is that cats start turning into assholes. That's my qualm with plastic surgery. Someone gets their beer belly sucked out and put in their ass, and all of a sudden they're like rolling their eyes like they're just the shit. And I'm like, bitch, did you just forget those last 20 years of photos? Someone gets like 90 inches of hair sewn in and they're just swinging it. And some of these hoes swing that shit in my face. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, bitch. And I'm trying not to get emotionally involved, but I'm saying these things for the essence of the camera. That's my excuse. But I am getting a little bit emotionally involved. I'm going to pull back. But I will say this. I'm like, bitch, don't you understand what you have underneath that thing? When you take out all that thread, are you forgetting what you look like? You get some lash extensions. You get some whatever. You get your tits done. You get whatever done. And that's all good. I'm cool with someone wearing a wig. I'm cool with extensions. I'm cool with surgery. But when you start flipping your shit around and forgetting what you look like, That's when I have a problem. And it's not even really about forgetting about what you look like. It's that you turn into a fucking asshole. And honestly, maybe I can't recognize it in men. Maybe men don't have the same after effect as women do. But this thing that happens, this ridiculous surge in confidence that makes it that you're rude to people and almost hostile. That's when I start like looking at it like, you know, I guess that's who you were before. And I think this is one of those key points. See, it's like this talking situation helps me, you know, like this is who you were before. And then once you had everything else that you wanted to have done, then you had like the balls to let that shit just bust on through, you know? I'm assuming that's what happens. Otherwise, man, like I know plenty of people who have gotten plenty of things done in all kinds of ways throughout all the years. Like that's not the surprise. Like at all. Like who cares if your titties are fake? Like I don't care. Shit probably looks good. Who cares if you got a nose job, facelift? I don't care what you got. It's when people, and I think it's when people start turning into assholes. And I think what it is that there's seemingly, and maybe this is me gassing myself, but there's seemingly an overpopulation of assholes. And that's getting to be a little bit old. And I think the extension of that is that people are getting praised for being assholes. Like they're making dough. And I don't want that dough. But it's like, it's glorified asshole. And how it affects me is that hurts my eyes. But then when I go to the store, I'm experiencing these things. And I have this dream of this utopia. Let me see how I'm doing on time here. I have this dream of this like utopia where if anything else, people can just shut the fuck up and mind their own business. You know? Yeah, that'd be nice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went to the store today and I'm not gassing myself, but I've been told my hair looks like a wig. And sometimes I'll notice a girl testing me. And I have a keen spidey sense for bitches, not women or girls or ladies, but bitches trying to test me from miles away inside the fucking store. Figuratively speaking, you know, they're like a few aisles away. I've been followed. You know, I had this girl stand like this close to me today, and I just saw her like examining me. And it happened like 3-4 times. And maybe I should take that as a compliment. But it's the hostile feel. You know what I'm saying? Like there's this thing now where there's this competition for like weave and all this other stuff. And I'm not in that race. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never been in that realm. I get jealous for sure. I get insecure for sure. Like for sure, you know? But I try not to let it, you know, fuck with my mind. I try not to at least let it get me to be mean to people. And sometimes that happens too. Especially when you mix that in with me and misunderstanding where someone's coming from. Because sometimes, whoa, you know. But try not to let it get the best of me. And I feel like I'm gassing myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm doing a better job of it than you. But it all comes back to what's going on in like culture, United States culture. Right now there's an epidemic of like looking a very specific way, you know, and even acting a very specific way. And it's kind of, you know, and maybe this is me coming back and trying to make it all about me, but I just have this better vision of like how society could be, like having a genuine conversation with somebody. And I have lots of those. You know, I talk to all the cashiers, you know, even one today that was usually mean to me, you know. Like I took it upon myself to like, you know, be cool with her, even though every time like I went into this place I'd see her give me the stink eye, and she kind of did today, but it's kind of like what I said earlier in this video about playing it off with that customer service rep, like, oh, well, maybe you didn't see this part, I'm sorry, you know, whatever. It's the same thing with this cashier, and she was finally like decent to me, where really I wanted to like pop the fuck off, because it's like I can spot bullshit, you know, a lot of times, especially in public with people and groups and stuff. I'm just sensitive to these things. I'm sensitive in general, and I think that's why I'm like striving for stuff to be more genuine, because what I'm sensing, I think overall, and I'm just going to skip that other part because it's pretty much done, but what I'm sensing overall with all this money shit is this ingenuinity, you know. And this is one of those things, me talking and talking and talking helps me realize what I'm really thinking. Because sometimes I think I'm thinking one thing and feeling a certain way, and then it just turns out like, oh, that's what I was really feeling. You know how it goes. So what I'm seeing here is like this ingenuine experience of life on Earth, where things could be less about a lot of things. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate some status. I appreciate some power. I appreciate some dough. I appreciate some prestige. But I appreciate that hood shit. I appreciate that thug shit. I appreciate that other shit, you know, and I feel like it all works hand in hand. It's all good, you know. And what I mean by that is that the streets are cool. There's, you know what I'm saying? You can't sit your whole life in some plush ass padded chair, you know. So I appreciate being in the hood. And I wasn't really like in the hood, don't get me wrong. Like I wasn't dodging bullets when I was in a diaper. Actually I was. No, I was dodging knives and killers and shit, but it was a different kind of way. It wasn't like the whole neighborhood was on fire. But I guess I was kind of hood life when I was little, because there was some shit popping off. Armed robbery, murder, bad murder, multiple murder, shit, more than one robbery, all centered around the same 50-foot radius, seems like, but yeah, so work it out. And then, you know, you fast forward, I guess that just kind of set the pace. Just how it goes, but you know, but I understand. I like riding comfortably. I like, you know what I'm saying? I'm drinking some $10 for boxed wine right now. So that's about $2.50 per bottle in this box. And I am loving it. But that doesn't mean that I haven't had some very delicious things to drink in the past. And I will even add this, that oftentimes, that most of the time came from a role of being a bartender, a serving position. I had access for most of these times of very good food and experiences from being a bartender. I'm cool with that. I experienced some really good things. Not to say that was, you know, my lot in life or whatever details that go along with that. But I don't know. I just think that both sides of the coin provide a good balance. And this expensive shit and cats dropping all this dough, after a while you lose count of how many diamonds are around someone's neck. You lose count of whatever. Like, I like tasteful elegance. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate that very much. Very much. But what I'm saying here is that, like, the substance is lost. There's not much else. You can tell cats are coming up as, you know, as being at a loss for words. And then with each other, there's just like invisible walls like all over the place, and no one's really talking to anybody. And that's when it gets to a point where it's like, how much fun are you having talking to your chain? You know? Like, am I gonna pull out my, you know, Vuitton panties and start talking to them? Like, oh, you know, whatever. Am I going to talk to my Cartier lenses and you know, be like, oh, you're so, you know, it's like, that would be a more meaningful conversation than what I'm seeing here, really. Maybe cats are awkward because their camera's rolling or some shit like that, but across the board, you see it at like the Met Gala. Yeah, you're wearing some shit that someone spent like 800 hours sewing together, but it's like, do you appreciate that? Were you there when they were sewing it? Like, do you even care? Does it just, you know, that's when it's just like, fuck this shit, disconnect, who cares? It exists. And that's the main point of this whole video. And with that being said, I think that I will be able to download the software that I need to get the other video up. So I hope that you had fun times with Jacqueline, wine time with Jade Tizzle over here. But I just wanted to share a few thoughts, you know, have a few words about this situation. So, yeah, so that's that. And we'll see how it goes. With that being said, I will talk to you soon. Bye. And hopefully be on the lookout for that new video. I'm hoping that it'll come out soon.